crashes, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts with host David Lamb and the attorneys of Hollis Wright.
Good evening and welcome to a historic episode of The Attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. A really special treat. Tonight's show is going to be, details on that coming up here in just a bit, but as we do each and every show, ways you can be involved in this process. We'd love to have you do so at the bottom of the screen, ways you can call us. Also, attorneys from Hollis Wright are standing by live all throughout the show tonight. Like every week, all you have to do is just get in touch with them. That free, all-fair, confidential conversation is yours for the asking. So our panel of experts will look familiar because they just both happen to hail from the firm of Hollis Wright. Josh Wright, Carter Clegg, good to see both of you.
You too. Hope you're having a good week.
I am.
We're having kind of an extraordinary week here.
It kind of is amazing. So tonight's show, we're celebrating this is our 500th show.
It's a long time.
That's a lot of shows.
That's a lot to say.
That's a lot of ground to cover. So congratulations to the both of you, first of all.
Thank you.
And what we're going to do, tonight's show is going to be a little bit different because 500 shows covered a lot of ground. Yeah. I know an opportunity for you guys to thank the viewers. But I think it's interesting kind of if you go back, right at a decade, yeah. I guess. So when you started the show, what was the impetus? What made you think, hey, we need to do a TV show?
Well, it's actually a really interesting story. You may remember back in April of 2011, there was a horrific storm that came through Alabama. And we were contacted by another station, not the WVTM NBC station that we're on now, about coming in to answer during the news in a hotline format, questions on what people do if they've had storm damage, because there were so many people impacted in Central Alabama. Yeah. And we graciously said, yes, we're in, be happy to help provide free answers to questions. And we went to the station and we did that, and we had over 200 calls. And the show concept started about at that time where I recognized, we had been kind of looking for a way to market the services and the law firm to Central Alabama. Mm-hmm. We had been looking for an opportunity and a format to highlight some of our incredible associating lawyers and referring lawyers. And the show came from those things in addition to the fact that we received 200 calls. And I thought, you know what? If we did this every single week, we would be able to answer questions on real-world issues that are being faced by people for free and provide a value-added, give-back service to the community. And that really is where it started. So it came out of the April 2011 storm, and we had our first show. It took us a couple months to get the production concept down and some contracts negotiated. I think our first show aired around June of 2011. Okay. With 52 weeks, we run into March being 500 shows that we aired, which is kind of an incredible thing. We've been doing it for 10 years.
It is, that's a bunch of ground to cover. So the first show or shows were having to do with tornado related, and then you all just transition more to general legal topics.
Well, that's right, and the show has had a common format since the beginning. Right. But there have been new faces and new concepts and new legal issues that have come along. Carter's a great example of joining our law firm and becoming one of my partners, which is one of the better things that's ever happened at Hollis Wright. And he's put his spin and his thoughts on the show and helped take the show from a version 3.0 to a version 4.0. Right. So although the format has been consistent throughout, the way that we've done it with different faces at the law firm over the years has changed, and Carter's a good example of one of those faces that has added such a tremendous component to the firm.
Because about 3 years after the launch of the show, Carter joined the firm. For you, Carter, and being a part of the show, had you had much experience at doing much television stuff?
I'd had zero experience, David. Yeah, zero experience.
Well, you would never know because you're good.
But first of all, thanks, Josh, for the kind remarks. I joined the firm in around April of 2013, so a couple of years after the show had started, and I've never looked back. It's been one of the greatest decisions that I've ever made, not only to be a partner with Josh at the law firm, but also to be on this journey with him in doing the show and providing what I think is an incredibly valuable service to the general public and to those who tune in every Sunday night. And I think it's a good opportunity to remind the viewers right now of why we do this show, and that although we're not covering a legal topic tonight, there are attorneys standing by right now, just like every Sunday night, to answer their legal questions that they may have that involve their personal lives. And I'd also mention that not only is this a special episode, this year is a special year for the law firm as it relates to the show, because we will celebrate our 10th anniversary of doing the show this coming summer. So there's a lot to be proud of here at the firm. And again, I'm proud to be alongside Josh and all of the other attorneys and staff members at Hollis Wright who make this thing go each and every day.
So I've been on television. I'm a lot older than both of you. So I've been under the lights and behind the camera. I mean, in front of a camera for many years. For you all, how different is this process than whenever you thought, okay, let's do a TV show, or I'm going to be doing a TV show? How different is it actually doing it versus what you anticipated? And Carter, you go first.
I'll jump in there. That's an excellent question, because when I first did it, or Josh approached me and if you know Josh, David, because you've known him for a long period of time, there was no option whether I could be on the show or not. It was like, Carter, you've got this, you're going to be on the show this Sunday evening.
Right.
And so I was like, well, great, I have zero television experience. This couldn't be too bad.
What could go wrong?
Those first couple shows were not that good. Just
I think we had
saying,
to
they
edit
got
a
a lot
lot, right?
better.
But no, in all seriousness, though, it is intimidating at first. Obviously, it was nerve-wracking at first. I was a little intimidated about what to expect. But once you do the show, there's really not any different than standing up in front of a jury, giving an opening or closing statement, or standing up in front of a jury when we cross-examine a witness or do a direct examination of a witness on the witness stand. You have those same emotions inside in terms of nervousness. But once you get up there and once you get going, your nerves kind of calm down, settle down, and you really kind of get into a rhythm. And from that point, you just become more and more comfortable with the process. So for me, it was kind of natural given the type of work that we did. And Josh, I think, would feel the same way.
Yeah, I agree. The concept of show business is just kind of magic. It just kind of, it takes care of itself, and it looks good when you watch it. There's some level of truth to that, because the viewing audience can't see all the lights and all the cameras and all the microphones and the clock and all the things we see when we do this, the backdrop that was created by our staff. But at the end of the day, the foundation of this show has always been to provide help to people that have real-world issues.
Yeah.
And when I've kept that as my focus, which is I'm trying to take the law and put it in a format that is easily understood by someone sitting on a couch right now that may have a work-related issue, or may have been involved in an accident, or may have been sexually assaulted and needs help.
Yeah.
Whatever the issue is, I try and take the legal side of it and try and make it simple for that individual to be able to get access to a lawyer in a non-intimidating format where they're not nervous about it. They can have a real conversation with somebody off air, and they can have a legal issue evaluated at that time. And so for me, that's good. The last thing I'd say, and I know we're getting ready to go to break, but last thing I'd say is this. I would argue to you that forcing our lawyers to be on the show to do this in this format makes them better lawyers in front of a jury, because they're required to get outside their comfort zone to answer questions on the fly, a lot of times without a script, and be able to do it in a format that makes it easy to interpret by someone sitting on a couch right now watching or laying in a bed watching a television show. So I actually think it makes this a better law firm.
I do not disagree. All right, after the break, I want to know how the show has impacted the way you practice law. Okay. We'll pick that up there. We're heading to our first break. A good reminder right now, Hollis Wright is really active on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Check them out there. Just search the term Hollis Wright, and you'll find them all wherever you enjoy social media. Stay tuned. More of The Attorneys coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm, and thank you for watching The Attorneys. We hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple: to provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free and off air. So if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury topics, call, email, or text us. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, or go to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us button. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us and watching The Attorneys.
The Attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you.
When we started the show 8 years ago, my hope was we would be able to do what we do best, which is to help people answer real-world legal-related issues they have in their life.
People oftentimes are confronting various legal issues and problems in their lives that range across the gamut of legal practice areas. Bankruptcy, criminal law, family law, just to name a few. And to be able to have a 30-minute platform or format to where we can just cover various legal topics once a week, that's obviously the primary focus of the show.
That we would be able to use the resources of the many lawyers we have at this law firm to create a plan that had a lasting impact that also gave back to the community at the same time. And I think we've done just that with The Attorneys.
Welcome back into The Attorneys, a special 500th episode of The Attorneys. A little bit of a different show, but some things are unchanged. Even tonight, attorneys from Hollis Wright standing by live to speak with you. So if you would like to get some free, off-air, and confidential legal advice, that opportunity is yours for the taking. Joined tonight by Josh Wright and Carter Clay from the firm of Hollis Wright, talking about this 500 shows, covered an awful lot of ground. I'm curious as to how the show has impacted the way you practice law. And Carter, just start with you with that question.
Well, it's given me a new perspective, a better understanding and appreciation of what people out there are going through. There are a lot of people out there that are hurting and really facing some difficult challenges in their lives. And of course, we're a personal injury firm. We handle motor vehicle accident, truck accident cases, just really any kind of case where somebody was injured due to the neglect or fault of somebody else. But sometimes we lose sight of the fact that there are individuals out there that are struggling paying the power bill, paying their phone bill. And what the show has done with the calls that we receive is it's made me realize how people struggle in situations that don't always involve a lot of money. But it's something that they need answers to. They feel like they're being stiffed by somebody, or they can't pay a particular bill and they didn't get the services they thought they were going to get. And they're really struggling with that particular issue. So it's really caused me to have to take a step back and really appreciate the difficulties and challenges that people are facing, oftentimes on a much smaller scale. And what the show has done is it's provided the viewers an opportunity to call in and have those types of questions answered for free in a situation where they otherwise would not be able to get those questions answered because it would be cost prohibitive to hire an attorney.
Josh, how about you?
I think it's much like Carter's concept that it's given him a level of perspective. It's given me a level of context that being a full-service plaintiff firm that is willing to handle personal injury-related cases, but also willing to bone up on and get educated on issues that face people on a daily basis, whether it is a power bill or a contract dispute or something that we wouldn't handle, being fully broad-based to be able to answer those questions and be able to be educated on those issues has, I think, given us more context as lawyers. In addition to that, I think one of the things that's super important to me is it's helped me recognize that having a good bedside manner, not just as a lawyer, and I'm not just talking about me, but as a law firm, is incredibly important, and it creates a loyalty among your clients where they want to come back to you. They want to submit recommendations that these guys are really good lawyers because they answer every call, text, email, and that's something we pride ourselves on. So I do think, one is the context side. The other side to me is that it's taught me that having a good bedside manner and actually answering calls and texts and emails and Facebook posts and Twitter feeds, that all those things matter, and they make us a more well-rounded law firm to be able to address the topics that we address.
And David, one of the things I wanted to add to what Josh said is that we have made a concerted effort over the years to develop a network of attorneys who handle cases beyond personal injury matters,
right.
Bankruptcy, family law such as divorces, criminal law, probate and estate, real estate law. And what that has done is it's allowed us to help the viewers beyond the personal injury context. There are questions that we get on the show from time to time that don't involve personal injury matters, and sometimes we can answer those questions, but sometimes the questions need to be directed at a specific attorney, such as bankruptcy or something along those lines. We put the viewers in touch with those attorneys, and those attorneys are graciously willing to give their time for free to answer simple questions in their arena.
Have there been specific shows or guests, as you look back, hundreds of shows, it's maybe hard to even recall, but are there shows or topics when you look back that really stand out to you, or even guests maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many moments over 500 shows, many of which I've been a part of, and sometimes our associates and our partners have been a part of, that have been impactful on me. I can think of a number of guests that I'm so glad that I built a relationship with over the years, because they have helped me in my practice tremendously, either advising me on ways to be a better lawyer, or because they had a skill set that I did not have in a certain area of the law, that I'm able to refer cases to them and they refer cases to us. One of the shows, I think, separate from the lawyers that have been on the show and the guests that have been on the show, is we did a sexual assault show, which is a very controversial topic, and we had some counselors and just basically rape counselors that were on. The number of calls we received during that show was super impactful to me, and it made me realize we're actually touching the lives of individuals, not just because we did that show, but because there were people that really wanted to go talk with and needed to talk with a counselor at that moment. It impacted me saying, we're actually providing a really, really good free service here to help people that is in the process broadening our law firm throughout Central Alabama.
Yeah, I would think the one guest that stands out to me is Chief A.C. Roper. I think you'll recall the time that we had him on the show was shortly after he had retired. But it was just a very interesting and enlightening show, because he talked a lot about the inner workings of the Birmingham Police Department, crime in the area, and all of the programs that had been developed on his watch to try and reduce crime in the area. And I thought that was a really good show.
Yeah. All right, so we're taking our second break. When we come back, not quite as serious, because there are folks at the airport that every time I used to fly, they watched the show and they would talk to me, and they would always ask me questions about you guys. I'm curious, what's the most humorous, strange, different sort of question that you've been asked or that you've gotten having been on the show? We'll deal with that. We'll answer that question whenever we come back. Stay tuned. The final segment of The Attorneys, this 500th episode, coming up right after this short break.
I'm attorney Bobby Bell with Hollis Wright Law Firm. In today's world, social media is all around us. It is common for many people to post on social media regarding their life and activities on a daily basis. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and similar social media are a great way to stay connected to others and to share your experiences and thoughts. Some seemingly innocent social media posts, however, can have devastating effects if you're involved in litigation, especially in a personal injury claim, a contested divorce, or a child custody battle. Courts regularly allow adverse parties access to the other side's social media accounts, allowing relevant posts to be presented as evidence. These rules have allowed social media to become a hotbed of information in the litigation world. In fact, we are seeing more and more preservation orders issued by courts requiring you to collect and save any and all social media activity. Therefore, it's advisable that even before there's litigation, lawyers should advise their clients that social media content may be discoverable. Here are a few helpful tips. 1. Do not post anything about the case. This includes posts regarding conversations or meetings with your attorneys, remarks about your injuries, negative remarks about the opposing party. Do not post anything you would not want read in open court to either a judge or jury. 2. Avoid new friend requests from people you do not know. Many law firms and insurance offices may attempt to have employees follow you on social media in an attempt to gain information. 3. Limit adding new photos, check-ins, photo tagging, etc. Seemingly innocent posts may be used against you. Regular check-ins at restaurants, parties, or other events with friends can cast doubt on any claims of loss of enjoyment of life, pain and suffering, or emotional distress, since you appear to be living life as usual. 4. Increase your privacy settings. Many social media sites frequently update and change their privacy settings. In the litigation context, it is possible you may have to preserve and present anything you posted. Therefore, we encourage you to be smart and careful when using social media. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. Thanks for watching The Attorneys on WBTM 13.
Welcome back into The Attorneys, our final segment here. A few minutes remaining, less than 6 minutes. In fact, if you want to take advantage of the opportunity to speak with those attorneys who are standing by from Hollis Wright, here with two partners of the firm, Hollis Wright, Josh Wright and Carter Clay, talking about the 500th show. Covered a whole lot of ground, a lot of serious stuff. But the questions I get about you guys are very, very serious. There are things about you two personally. So I'm curious, what is the strangest thing maybe a viewer or somebody has asked you, or kind of question you've gotten, doing hundreds and hundreds of these shows now?
I'll jump in there. Well, I've got a humorous or strange question, but I also want to start out with, of course, we try and answer a lot of calls during the show. We're getting a lot of calls. But sometimes you do chuckle a little bit when the caller starts off with something along the lines of, well, my brother was arrested in 1988. And so that's probably not going to be a very quick conversation, but we're happy to take all those types of questions and answer them. Probably the strangest question I ever got was a grandfather called in and said his grandson, he had a grandson that was just born within the last 2 or 3 months, and he wanted to know if it was legal for him to ride him on the interstate on his motorcycle. So I told
probably had to look that up.
I've never been asked that question before. But beside the fact that I didn't think it was a very good idea, I told him that no, it was not legal to do that, even though I'm not sure I had the answer at the tip of my tongue. So that was probably one of the more humorous questions that I got, or stranger questions, I guess I should say.
Well, there have definitely been some strange questions along the years, including whether my hair was real. And
I get that one too.
But
is it?
Yeah, it is. But
just a different color.
There have been so many great moments. It is interesting to me. We get texts to a common number, and we manage that common number throughout the week. All of us do as our lawyers. And when I get a text from somebody, sometimes I will just scroll back. And what's interesting to me, has always been interesting to me, is there may be 7 different occasions when that person texted related to either a common legal issue or a unique legal issue throughout those texts. What that tells me is there are people that really enjoy these type shows, that watch them, that have real legal issues. And it goes back to the concept of, I try and, if you will, put the law in a format that's easy to understand for anybody. And so, I just think when you look at, there is maybe not a cult following, but there are people that watch this show over and over and over again. Talk about the Birmingham airport. When I go through the Birmingham airport, I get that comment a lot is, hey, I see your show, really like your show. Appreciate you doing that. I had someone in Chicago one time comment that they watched the show. That was from Alabama, but just on my plane. So we get some interesting, some interesting people that view, but it means we're making an impact, without question.
Less 2.5 minutes remaining, but I want to get this in. Where do you guys see the show heading from here? What does the future of the attorneys look like?
Well, I've had so much fun tonight. I think we may need to extend the show to an hour as opposed to 30 minutes. So maybe we'll talk about that after the show this evening. But no, I think where it goes from here, I know it's cliche to say more of the same, but I think one objective that we have is to try and broaden our reach, continue to develop a network of attorneys that can help us answer questions that the callers have related to the difficulties and challenges that they may be facing, because we get a lot of calls, and a lot of the calls, again, are not related to personal injury matters. They're related to a lot of practical issues that people are confronting. And I just want to finally say thank you to Vazda, who helps make this show run. Thank you to Melissa and Robin and everybody at Hollis Wright who helped put the guest on the show, organize the show, schedule everything that we have related to the show as well.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to Chip, who does our cameras, and Wayne and Randy at Vazda for the hard work that they've put in, and David, to you for close to 500 shows with me, which is hard to believe. The role that you've played is a tremendous role in simply being a moderator between the viewing audience and what we're providing here. So I want to say thank you to that. I think one of the things that is going to happen as the show moves on, we've done some new things with technology. I think technology is going to become more of a part of the show. I think we will use visual aids down the road that will allow us to explain things a little bit better. Maybe you'll see that in the coming years here on the show. So hopefully that's something we'll be able to do. And the last thing I'd say, I'm glad we're at 500 shows. I hope we end up at 1,000 shows, 2,000 shows, whatever. We're going to continue the service. But the one thing I would say is thank you to the viewing audience, because it has been an awesome honor and a privilege for us to be able to do this for the viewing audience, and I hope we're able to provide a good service to people.
I think you all do. Educational, informational, and appreciate both of you guys being on the show. Appreciate the opportunity to sit in this chair. I've learned a lot over these shows. So thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations on 500 shows. And again, thank you very much. It's all for you. We'll see you next week here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.